Some games get attention because they're backed by massive studios. Others become popular because people genuinely believe they could turn into something special. And honestly, that's exactly what's happening right now with Phantom Blade Zero. This game has gone from something barely anybody was talking about to one of the most anticipated action games on the internet. Every trailer blows up, every gameplay clip gets millions of views, and every single time the developer shows something new, people somehow get even more hyped than before. The crazy part is, it's actually pretty easy to see why. Everything about this game just looks absurdly stylish. The combat is insanely fast, brutally flashy, and somehow still looks grounded enough that every hit feels heavy. It's got this mix of dark fantasy aesthetics and martial arts choreography that instantly makes it stand out from basically every other action game people are waiting for right now. And the moment you see it in motion, the comparisons immediately start. People keep calling it a mix between Sekiro, Devil May Cry, Ninja Gaiden, even old school martial arts films. And honestly, that comparison kind of makes sense. One of the biggest reasons people are losing their minds over this game is the combat itself. Every encounter looks ridiculously cinematic. Characters dash around at impossible speeds, chain together massive combos, deflect attacks with perfect timing, and transition between animations so smoothly that half the time it almost doesn't even look like gameplay anymore. It looks choreographed, like somebody sat down and tried to make every fight scene feel like the final battle in a martial arts movie. And, thankfully, this doesn't just look like another flashy trailer game either. A lot of modern action games rely heavily on visual spectacle, but once you actually get your hands on them, the combat ends up feeling shallow. Phantom Blade Zero doesn't seem like it's falling into that trap. From everything shown so far, there's a huge emphasis on timing, positioning, parries, aggressive movement, and learning enemy attack patterns. It genuinely looks like the kind of game where skill matters. And that's probably why so many hardcore action game fans immediately became interested in it. The other thing that really helps this game stand out is the setting. Most action games right now either go full medieval fantasy or futuristic sci-fi. Phantom Blade Zero feels different. It has this dark, wuxia-inspired world that gives the whole game a really unique atmosphere. The environments look grim and dangerous, but also weirdly beautiful at the same time. Ancient architecture mixed with supernatural horror, fog-covered villages, giant monsters, masked warriors, and all this strange energy surrounding everything. It almost feels like a nightmare version of a martial arts epic. And visually, the game just looks unbelievable. The lighting, the animations, the environments, the particle effects during combat, everything feels incredibly polished. There are moments in the trailers where entire fights look like pre-rendered cutscenes until you suddenly realize it's actual gameplay. Obviously, trailers can always be misleading, and we've definitely seen games look amazing before launch only to disappoint later. But at least right now, Phantom Blade Zero absolutely looks like the real deal. What's especially interesting is how fast the hype around this game exploded. A lot of games spend years slowly building attention, but Phantom Blade Zero kind of appeared out of nowhere and instantly grabbed people. Part of that is definitely because people are starving for really high-quality action games right now. There honestly aren't that many modern games fully focused on stylish melee combat anymore, and when one finally shows up looking this polished, people immediately notice it. The Sekiro comparisons especially have been non-stop. You can tell the game clearly takes some inspiration from that style of combat. Fast reactions, deflect-focused gameplay, aggressive enemies, precision timing, all of that feels very familiar. But at the same time, Phantom Blade Zero also seems way more over the top and cinematic. Sekiro felt disciplined and methodical. This feels chaotic, explosive, like every fight is trying to overwhelm you with speed and spectacle. And honestly, that combination might be exactly why people are so obsessed with it right now. It looks difficult enough for hardcore players while still being flashy enough for casual audiences to watch and instantly think it looks cool. That's actually a really hard balance to pull off. Some action games are mechanically amazing, but boring to watch. Others look incredible, but don't feel satisfying to play. Phantom Blade Zero somehow seems like it might actually land somewhere in the middle.
Only a dead person can keep a secret.
Of course, there are still reasons to be cautious. We still haven't played the full game ourselves, and there's always a chance the final product won't completely live up to the trailers. That happens constantly in the gaming industry. Sometimes developers show highly polished vertical slices that don't fully represent the final experience. Sometimes combat systems look good in short clips, but become repetitive after several hours. Sometimes games simply struggle to maintain the same quality across an entire playthrough. That's probably the biggest question surrounding Phantom Blade Zero right now. Can the developers actually sustain this level of intensity for a full game? Because making a trailer look cool is one thing. Having an action RPG consistently feel cinematic and polished for dozens of hours is a completely different challenge. Especially when expectations are now becoming insanely high. Honestly, expectations are really high. Every time new gameplay gets released, the internet immediately starts calling it the next big action game. And the hype can become dangerous for any game. When people build something up in their heads, the harder it becomes for the real product to satisfy everyone. We've seen that happen countless times before.
Yes. Let's kill him with time.
But at the same time, it's hard not to understand why people are excited. Even if you try looking at the game objectively, the amount of effort being put into presentation alone is impressive. The combat animations have impact. The environments feel atmospheric. The enemy designs look memorable. The movement system seems fluid. And maybe most importantly, the game actually has identity. It doesn't just look like another generic fantasy action game trying to chase trends. That's something a lot of modern games struggle with. You see so many trailers these days and immediately forget them 5 minutes later because everything blends together. Phantom Blade Zero doesn't really have that problem. The second you see it, you remember it. Whether it's the art direction, the speed of combat, or the strange dark fantasy martial arts vibe, the game immediately separates itself from everything else. And honestly, that's probably why people can't stop talking about it. It feels fresh, familiar enough that fans of action games instantly understand it, but different enough that it still feels exciting. That's a really difficult thing to achieve in modern gaming, especially now when so many games feel designed by community. At the end of the day, though, the real test will obviously be the final release. Hype only carries a game so far. Eventually, players need to actually get their hands on it. But based on everything shown so far, Phantom Blade Zero genuinely feels like one of the most promising action games currently in development. And if the final game actually manages to live up to even most of the hype surrounding it right now, this could easily become one of the biggest action game releases people have seen in years. But anyway, let us know what you think about Phantom Blade Zero down in the comments. Are you actually excited for this game, or do you think the hype might be getting a little out of control? And if you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss any future videos from our channel.